In the chamber this week, we fight for honor. We play a retro game with a contemporary art style, and we build an adventure perfect for your starting character. Plus, what characters will Joe establish and then promptly forget what they sound like? What will the garbage can look like this week? What other wackiness will we come up with? All of this and more on Phantom Roulette! Hey everyone, welcome to Phantom Roulette. This is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
Hey everyone. So Cody, what nerdy stuff have you been up to as of late?
As of late? Oh yeah. Boy, what haven't I been up to?
Whoa. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
what you talk about it in the video game section?
Okay, well, yeah, we'll start there.
Okay.
I'll be talking about it in the video game section, but I've also been watching Gravity Falls.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the award eligible episode about animation where we talked about Gravity Falls for like 10 seconds at the end because we forgot to?
Yeah, I watched. Wow, this is a visual medium. I listened to the first one, and I got about 3/4 of the way through the anime one, and then I lost track, and then things got really busy at work, and so every time I would start it, I would like tune it out because like I was just so busy.
That's fair.
So one of these days when it slows down a little, like enough for me to like get like a cognitive reaction to, sound, I will finish it.
That's cool. Yeah, no. We just like talked about it for like 10 seconds because like we had both forgotten, which is funny because it's like both one of our favorite shows. But anyway,
nice.
What else? Anything else, or is that kind of it for you?
Gosh, now I'm on the spot.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that.
No, I've been playing a little bit of D&D. I'm getting a little shell shocked with not playing the 6, which is our campaign. It's been a while, and unfortunately, we will not be able to play it this weekend. But soon I will be able to kill all of you for your transgressions.
Yeah, I know. And for once, it's not my fault. Or like for 3 times, it's not my fault.
Right? So, what nerdy stuff have you been up to, my dude?
Oh man. Well, I've been just sitting here like holding my character. Well, that's actually a lie, 'cause my character sheet's on my laptop. I've just been holding my character sheet, like looking longingly to the horizon. Like, look at it out there. Oh, don't you see? I've been reading The Three Musketeers, which isn't necessarily a like nerdy book in the sense that it's like sci-fi fantasy, but like it has established a lot of like adventure movie and like adventure story tropes.
Very cool.
Which has been fun, although that book's really long, so that's probably going to take me a little bit. I've been prepping for the next time we play Starfinder, and have been playing a little bit of Blades in the Dark, although I haven't been able to play that in a couple weeks either. I've been like surprisingly RPG free. I don't know how I've been handling it.
I know. I'm usually at this point I start to get like real itchy for role playing games. I'm lucky that my Rowdy Rough Boys, or Elf Force 1 as they're known now,
oh my gosh,
have been able to play. Well, the Rowdy Rough Boys are still alive, but we switched tone because
they achieve all they wanted to.
No, not necessarily. I think we could still go back and still play in that space. It's just a few of the players wanted something a little different, and we had kind of been playing on and off in the Rowdy Rough Boys like story canon for so long that they wanted a new city, a fresh scene. So
yeah, I know. I feel that. It's sometimes the stories just like go on a little much, but yeah. So if this is for your first time listening to Phantom Roulette, welcome. Phantom Roulette.
Welcome.
We go through and talk about a myriad of nerdy things on our episodes, including history, video games, RPGs, and sometimes a fourth item if we both have something common ground that we want to talk about together. So that's our little thesis statement about the show. We're just gonna keep this intro a rolling, I think. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna move into the history section.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna date this episode a little bit, Cody.
What?
So
How dare you?
this is the first week in Cleveland that the hit Broadway musical Hamilton is running at in the Cleveland Playhouse. And so I was like, "Ooh, that's fun! I'm going to talk about dueling."
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah. Wait, what? Where's the confusion?
No, I wasn't expecting that for some reason. I no joke. I was
Well, Hamilton's the hit musical about, of course, our first Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, who was George Washington's right-hand man, a general in the American Revolution, and, like, most famously, basically, until this musical came out, he was the guy on the $10 bill and the guy who got shot in a duel.
damn.
Right? Yeah, what a fun legacy to have.
I mean, that's a word for it.
Yeah. Well, so the thing too is like the whole thing about Hamilton is all about like leaving your legacy. But anyway, duels, of course, are arranged combat between two people with matched weapons. And by that I mean it's like you both have the same weapon with like the exact same specs.
Two
right?
frying pans.
Two frying pans.
Yeah. Cook that bacon, smack each other in the face with it.
Whoa.
That's my favorite kind of duel.
So is that Mr. Game & Watch fighting himself? Or there you go. Jumped the gun a little bit. Welcome to the video game section. Really enjoyed that history section.
And now we gotta rewind. We gotta go back. Ooh, God. What was...
What, did your VCR not sound like that?
No, my VCR didn't sound like a bird got stuck in it.
I wondered why my VCR always spat out feathers as a kid.
Oh, you thought that was just default?
Yeah, I thought that I was always weird when I went over to friends' houses and it did spit feathers out. How many birds did that... Okay, anyway, so that was a bit.
That was...
So... Yeah, so usually, there's one other thing that's important for duels, which is a agreed set of rules. So however many paces you go away, how many, like what are the parameters of the duel, things like that. So these really kind of started in the early modern era, which of course means like the a little bit after the Renaissance. Although dueling like existed before then, but like they really hit their stride during this time. And then it kind of continued into the modern period to like the 19th and early 20th century. And this tended to be amongst like the upper classes and members of the nobility, because really at the end of the day, it was all about posturing.
Tell me what that is, because I had a thought, but now I'm not sure what you mean by this word.
I mean, posturing is just this idea of like showing who is like, oh man, I am masculine, and you too are masculine, and you, sir, have besmirched my honor, and so like now we must fight.
Yeah.
So I can show how good my honor is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it's like a dick measuring contest.
Oof.
Yeah.
But like
click that explicit tag.
But I mean, it's like a dick measuring contest to the death.
Not usually, actually.
What?
Yeah, no. I mean, so like in the case of like rapiers, for instance, it was often just like to draw blood.
Oh, okay. That's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, which is like kind of similar if you remember from like, not to like always go back to this in every situation forever, but like pirates.
Okay. I mean,
this
is like your bit, like.
Yeah, I know, right?
Forever and ever, we will find a way.
Oh my god.
Pirates. Find a way.
Yep. Ha ha ha. I remember once being in a class in grad school, and I brought up piracy, And it was connected to the point, I might add. And my one friend in the class was like, how do you do that? I'm like, I don't know, man. I wrote like an 80-page paper on the damn thing. But anyways, so like in Piracy, they would have duels as well. And yeah, it was usually to the person to draw first blood. So like in the case of like pistol duels,
first blood. Sorry, I needed to do it. I was biting my tongue, but I couldn't.
What?
Go on.
What'd you do?
I fast forwarded to the video game section again and went first blood.
Oh, okay. It's okay. But
now
anyways,
we rewind.
And then of course there's Rambo First Blood, which is a film starring Sylvester Stallone. He plays a Vietnam War veteran.
Man, we have gotten so far so quickly.
That's true, man. We're just jumping all over the place. So like, okay, and so here's the thing: is oftentimes too, like when it came to like pistols, it was basically just like you would fire your pistol in the air unless you were just like super mega hella pissed at a person, or like you would shoot them in like an extremity and like, you know, like okay, like you got shot in the shoulder, but like he'll be cool, except if he gets lead poisoning, which is something that can potentially happen. But so. The early days of... So it was almost always, like, honor-based, like I said. And so usually it was like, hey, did you flirt with my significant other? And it's like, no, I didn't. And it's like, I challenge you to a duel. And then they would, like, duel. And then basically it was like, I am so confident in how good I am that I am going to, like, put my life on the line to prove my goodness.
That is the word for it.
That was a sentence I said.
It was probably a sentence someone said when they were dueling, too.
That's true. They did. They did say it. I was there. Cody, I'm going to reveal a deep, dark secret out of this episode of the podcast.
Are you going to reveal that the time police are after you again?
Cody, you can't say their name. Wait, I'm going to say
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, we both got shot this time. Oh, no.
I'm going to put a sound effect in later.
Oh, no. This is the shortest episode yet. So, anyways, there have been duels for many a reason. There's a famous duel between Lady Almeria Braddock and Mrs. Elphinstone, where Mrs. Elphinstone made a comment about her age, and Lady Braddock was like so mad that like she challenged her to a duel, and so Mrs. Elphinstone fired her pistol and knocked Lady Braddock's head off to the ground. So then they took up swords, and Lady Braddock got her revenge by wounding her opponent in the arm. But don't worry, Mrs. Epstein agreed to write a letter of apology after getting stabbed in the arm. Because dueling is crazy. But yeah, so like in almost all cases, it was these duels were kind of just like designed to, I'm putting my my life and my dignity and things like that on the line. And so some other famous examples. Andrew Jackson apparently was in so many duels that he had a bullet lodged in his spine.
Wow.
Yeah, just like forever. And
I actually know a good one.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's when Yugimoto and Pegasus fought for the Duel Monsters Championship.
Oh, yeah. and did he activate his trap card?
Yes.
Was it
and
time
one
to duel?
Yeah. It's time to go to the Shadow Realm, because that's what happens when you lose in Duel Monsters.
Shit, that's intense.
Yeah. Also, weirdly enough, Crossfire board game, when you lose in that game, you also go to the Shadow Realm. The only way to get out, truth is, you either have to win a game of Crossfire or Yu-Gi-Oh!
Crossfire!
Yes! That game? Yeah, that was what I was referring to.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
I was there.
And it was always weird when the one guy lost and like he just like erupted in flames and then disappeared into the darkness of the backdrop.
I mean, it was the 90s. Like, we lost many a kid to a Crossfire duel.
It's true. It's true.
It was our darkest hour, actually.
Right. What are also other famous duels, since I have ruined this bit for you?
Oh, don't worry about it. Like, there was Alexander Pushkin and George Dienthus.
Okay.
So
Well,
Pushkin was a poet, and George Dienthus was apparently aggressively pursuing Pushkin's wife, and so the two of them wanted to fight, and they fought, and so Pushkin just stabbed him in the arm real bad, but then Pushkin took a bullet to the stomach and died.
damn.
It's not cool. Oh, and so often too in duels, you would have this concept of someone called your second, which is like your close confidant, or I guess in wedding terms, your best man. Go and the 2 seconds would talk to one another, and they would try to come up with a violentless solution to the problem. Right? Hey, your guy insulted my guy. So hey, we're going to work it out. Why don't your guy issue a public apology? And the other guy's like, no, we're not going to do that. It is your guy who should apologize to our guy. And so then the other thing that a second was supposed to do is, let's say that the person goes down in battle. In theory, what the second was supposed to do was pick up the blade and avenge their friend.
Oh, damn.
Although usually, like I said, it was a pretty almost ceremonial position. Because, I said, these things weren't really designed to end in death. In fact, it was kind of a rarity that they would end in death.
Well, that's good, at the very least.
Kind of. I mean, when it's kind of just toxic masculinity at its height.
Really. Right, but I don't know. I guess I'm just glad that it wasn't people just died every day from duels. Joe, you've upset me. We now fight with pistols.
This when and where? Name the time and place, sir.
On the internet and right now.
Man, we didn't establish common rules.
Oh. Maybe that's why I'm bleeding.
Now your honor is super duper besmirched. Yeah, sorry, your honor's so besmirched now. But anyways, so over time, so usually so conditions usually had things like 2 first blood, so it would be ended as soon as one person was wounded, even if the wound was minor, until one person was so severely wounded that they could not physically continue the duel. So that was another one. And then usually in the case of pistol duels, you would get one shot, and if you both missed, then the duel was satisfied and declared over. So that's usually why you would aim your pistol to the sky, right? It was basically hey, you've insulted me so bad that we are going to fight one another now. But no one was ever really truly intending to kill one another. And to circle this all back around to the musical Hamilton, there are still descendants of Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr who live in the United States. And their families get together every year on the anniversary of that date in Weehawken, New Jersey, where the where the duel happened, and they have a recreation of the debate, or the duel rather. I don't know why I keep saying debate, but anyway, the duel. And so, from what I've heard, the fun thing about it is to listen to them bicker over the details of what happened.
Okay, I was trying to see how long it would take for me to come back from the dead.
And so, oh man, welcome back, Cody. So anyways, and so basically what it involved was, there was evidence that, so Aaron Burr contended that Hamilton had his pistol aimed to kill, and then at the last second pulled it up to the sky to fire, and then because he saw Hamilton intending to shoot to kill, he then shot to kill. There was also evidence to suggest that perhaps the pistol misfired, and that Hamilton was shooting to kill, and he put his pistol up at the last second because it did misfire. In any case, Hamilton died, but there's this debate that continues on and on and on. So anyways, any questions for me about dueling?
I have one, I guess.
Sure, let's hear it. I'd like to hear
part of me is really sad because I'm going to hear this answer and it's probably going to make me sad. But
sure,
how common were these duels? Like, was this like an everyday occurrence, or
I mean, chances
like
are.
how high was this toxic masculinity, like to the point where like people were just straight up like, I need to cut you to get out my aggression?
I mean, like, from the sounds of it, it sounded like they were probably pretty frequent, but like not always deadly. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Right, yeah.
Because, like I said, like the intent was basically like it was like I guess maybe considered a very masculine way to apologize. It was
Oh my
try
god.
to kill the other person instead
Damn.
of like, admitting my bad. So yeah, I don't think that like they were probably happening a lot. And then of course, we start having laws popping up here and there trying to like ban and outlaw duels to varying levels of success.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm still a little sad that it was frequent, but
Yeah.
I think I can live. I think I can live.
It was different times for sure.
Yeah.
Not to like say that as like an excuse or like a defense or anything, but like
No. I understand what you mean. I hope the audience does, because I do. I know what your intentions are.
Yeah. Shall we move over to Vero games?
Of course, it's my favorite.
Hey guys, it's me.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. Who is this?
Is this Terry?
I don't actually remember if this is what Terry sounded like.
It's not.
Although this is always Joe's impulse for a new. Fine, I'm Terry's brother, Larry.
Oh, and yeah. Larry, what did you do in the games industry to move us into the topic of video games?
Pitfall.
Wait, like the game?
What?
Oh, I understand. Wow, okay.
What are you talking about, Cody? Do you want to go meet Terry?
I think I can take it from here, Larry, but I appreciate your guest appearance.
We can play a game of Pitfall.
I'd rather not.
Okay. Hey, Larry. Yeah, Joe, what is it? Can you go downstairs real quick and, like, get me a thing? What do you need, my friend? Oh, just a thing. You'll know it when you find it. Alright, okay, he's gone, Cody.
Oh, man.
Oh, wait, I mean, step. Creak. Close.
We'll fix that one in post.
You know those doors that they say the word close when you close them?
Yeah, my favorite doors.
Those are some of my favorite doors too.
Right. So today on video games, we're talking about a new game that just came out.
What?
Yeah, it came out July 13th. So last Friday?
Right before. See, that's the thing. The video games industry needs to really get on board and start releasing games the Tuesday before Fandom Roulette happens.
Right?
Yeah.
I like those Friday releases because that gives me just enough time to play a little bit of it and talk about it.
I mean, okay, that's actually fair. Good job, video games industry.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Joe. Terry,
Man,
I told you.
I didn't know the whole video game industry was there, and they all sound like Terry for some reason.
No, Terry was yelling at me from like downstairs, which is weird because I can't even hear me. I'm not talking that loud.
Well, okay, I thought that was Larry. Like, we can't even keep our characters right anymore.
I promised that in the intro, Cody.
Oh, that's right, you did.
Yeah, so don't come into my house and get mad at me when I do exactly what I promised.
I guess don't throw rocks at Terry's house.
Yeah, I mean,
is that the old saying?
That's the old saying. Don't throw rocks at Terry's house.
A quote from 2018: "Don't throw rocks at Terry's house."
Yep.
So, anyways, this game came out last Friday.
Cool.
It is called Octopath Traveler.
Christ, we didn't even get to the title yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, man. I asked you what it was like before you even revealed the title. of the thing that it was. Oh God! Everyone's gonna know we're like fools and idiots. Anyways, tell me about this game.
So, Octopath Traveler is a traditional JRPG, Japanese role-playing game.
Oh, so you have to collect the 7 parts of like the Buddha or whatever.
Well, sort of. So it harkens back to a very like classic RPG. Like I'm thinking like Final Fantasy VI.
Sure.
Is like the quintessential example. Like when you look at this game, the sprite's very reminiscent of like those characters. Like I'm pretty sure that there's a character named Alf who is basically just Sabin from Final Fantasy VI.
Oh man, how dare they?
Right? I want him to suplex a train so bad.
I mean, I'm on board. What was this about suplexing trains?
So Octopath Traveler is the story of 8 people.
Whoa, that's a lot of people.
Right, who have to go on these crazy adventures because life finds a way to become adventurous. And the world is dangerous to go out alone, so you need to find 8 people.
Wow, so, wait, okay. Whoa, Cody, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Were you, okay, like, I don't want to, like, lift the veil on this, but, like, was that, like, official, like, funny things that they said in the game, or were you, like, doing a bit where you referenced as many things you could in, like, 2 sentences?
Both?
Okay, solid.
Question mark?
Did they reference original Zelda in the game? Because that was very funny.
No.
I was like...
I mean, I'm sure there's references, but...
Sure, you could tell how I thought it was funny because I laughed so boisterously. I was like, ha, 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 ha. I'm sure Cody cut out the laugh. No, I'm just kidding.
Just gonna cut out all your laughing.
That would be a bizarre episode of Phantom Roulette, I think.
Just Stone Cold Joe not laughing the whole time.
Yep, no laughter.
So anyways... This game, if you are a fan of JRPGs, I think this is a great one that came out for the Switch. It's a Switch exclusive for now. So so Mario and his brothers, all 3 of them.
Mario and Luigi and the third one that I came up with.
Yeah, I think his name was Marcus.
Was it? I don't actually remember.
I can't remember. But
was it Greg?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't remember.
So this game.
We'll have to check the tapes.
Right. I'll check them later.
It's fine.
I will not check them later.
I gave that dude a poison mushroom. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. So there are 8 characters.
Okay.
And
like my favorite TV show, Sense8.
Yeah. If that's your favorite TV show, that's cool.
I mean, it's a very good TV show. I don't know if I would say it's my favorite, but it was like a good TV. Because that show just ended recently on the Netflix. Wait, tell me more about this game!
So you get to start with one of these 8 characters, and there's your classics, there's your wizardly scholar, there's your thief, so there's your holy priest, the
athlete, the jock.
Sure. And they got some goofy ones. They've got, I wouldn't say goofy, but just like ones that you don't often see in a traditional RPG. Like they have what?
I thought Goofy was in Kingdom Hearts.
Ooh, some would say that joke.
Now, Cody,
was simple and clean.
Now, Cody, after I said the Goofy line, I want you to like edit in like a crowd just cheering wildly. like they're just like, oh man, that was the best joke ever, Joe. No one thought about that at home. So anyway, so what are these weird classes that you can be?
I wouldn't necessarily say they're weird. They're just not your typical standards. Like there's like a hunter who's kind of got like a beast companion, and then there's the apothecary, which is kind of like Riku from Final Fantasy X. Where you can combine like ingredients and make like super powerful items.
Sure. Is there Blitzball?
No, unfortunately, they did. Square Enix couldn't get the rights for Blitzball from their own franchise.
Just drop in all of my video game knowledge.
I think the story is it's not doing anything different. Like, I don't think it's pushing any boundaries or doing anything like crazy over the top. I have one character, and I'll talk about them at the end, that it almost, for a brief moment, I almost stopped playing the game because of this story, but we'll get there. Yeah, this is ill tidings in the future. Mechanically, the game is, while it is a turn-based RPG, like you take turns, like, oh, it's my turn, then it's the enemy's turn, and so on and so forth. There's this really interesting mechanic, and it seems simple on the top layer, but when you start to get more people, and then you figure out the classes a little more, it gets a little more involved. So basically, every monster has anywhere between 2 to like 6 weaknesses. So like, we'll just say a goblin shows up. He might be weak to like fire magic, swords, and arrows.
Damn, he's weak to a lot of shit, huh?
Well, you'd think that's a lot, but every character only has like 1 or 2 martial weapons that they can use, and then between 1 and 3 like types of elemental magic.
Oh, okay.
So, like, and the idea or the concept behind the battles is you can't really brute force it like you normally do with RPGs. Like, it's not just like hit attack and just keep doing that over and over. You actually have to exploit their weaknesses, because while they're like actively defending, all of your normal attacks do less damage. And so if you hit their weaknesses, you basically reduce their defense from a certain number, and like the little guys only have like maybe 1 defense or up to 3, and bosses can have like anywhere up to like 6 and 8.
Okay.
But as soon as you reduce them to 0, they become stunned, they lose their turn, lose the next turn, and they also take more damage.
That's that's a lot
so
of
like
stuff.
Right, so the whole game is kind of figuring out, like, the perfect party, because you'll fight enemies, and it's like, oh shit, like, I don't have any fire magic, or bows, or swords. Like, my party, like, there's just nobody in my party that has any of that.
I don't know how I even did that, because everyone's
right.
a sword, but anyways.
But, so yeah, you start to get these 8 characters, and all of them kind of have spread, like, weapon types that they can use. And they do a really good job at explaining how this mechanic works, because all of the enemies in in these kind of, there's like a little mini story for all 8 characters.
Oh, cool.
And all of the monsters you are introduced to while you're in those little mini stories, like those beginning stories, they're all weak to something you have.
Oh, okay.
So, like, you kind of learn, like, oh, shit, I took away some of their shields, and there's also, like, a kind of a nice, modern-day mechanic where they don't hide their weaknesses. Like, it's visible on the screen, like, oh, if you've dealt with this monster before, you learned that fire magic weakened them. Well, that's still there. You don't have to, like, write down, like, oh, the Goblin 1 was weak to fire and swords. It's all on screen.
Now, do they ever do anything where it's like they establish like one who like isn't, where it's like, now this is like big bad goblin, and he's only weak to like swords?
There's a couple of enemies that do have very few weaknesses, which was kind of scary at first. I got lucky, and then I had most of their weaknesses, but
sure.
No, the scary part is when enemies have, like, 6 defense, which means you have to hit them 6 times with that weakness in order to, like, stun them. And that's more like boss territory.
Sure.
But that can be really intense. And another mechanic they added on top of that, which, again, these mechanics they seem simple when I talk about them, but when layered on each other, they kind of have this really kind of almost puzzle-like experience. So the next part is you get battle points. And every time you don't use battle points, you gain battle points, up to 5. You can spend battle points to augment your attacks to make them stronger. Kind of similar to Bravely Default, how you can, like, save turns. However, in this case, you basically save power if you don't use them. And so for, like, martial weapons, if you use, like, say you use 3 of your battle points, You get to do 3 attacks instead of just the one.
Uh-huh.
So if you save your BP for those like big guys that have like 6 like defense, in one turn you could be like, all right, well I'm going to spend all of my battle points to do 4 different attacks to his weakness so that it'll go down to 2 and then I'll have somebody else finish it up.
Yeah.
But you can also use that when they're weak, because if they're stunned, then you can just be like, well, I'm going to put all my points in and do a shit ton of damage. So like, it seems simple when I talk about it, but like layered on top of each other, they become more it becomes like almost like a little puzzle every time you fight a new group of enemies, because you try to want to, especially in like these games where like you want to grind, but you don't want to keep teleporting back to towns or, you know, wasting healing stuff, because wasting like healing items costs money. So you're always trying to find out like the most optimal way to defeat the enemies without them like kind of tearing into you.
Uh-huh.
So it's super cool. I love the mechanics of the game. The story's kind of whatever. Like, it's not bad.
Uh-huh.
It's just not like doing anything that we haven't seen before. Like, there's like your typical tropes. There's the, you know, the scholar who's so into knowledge that he's oblivious to the things going on around him that don't have to do with like gathering intelligence. His name is Cyrus. He's the guy that I picked. Mostly because I didn't want to... Like, I played the demo. Like, that's another cool thing. There's a demo for this game. If you have a Switch and this sounds interesting, go get the demo, and then, if you like it, go buy the game.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the warrior who, like, had this warrior ally friend with him, and they went to war with each other, or together.
Uh-huh.
And then his friend, his warrior buddy, killed the king that they were trying to protect. And so now he's on this, like, I gotta find out why he did this. Like, they're not really doing anything unique.
Uh-huh.
But it's not so bad that it's like, oh, I can't play this game anymore, because I'm already put 12 hours in and I can't wait to play more.
Sure.
My only complaint, and I'm not going to get too into it because I don't feel comfortable talking about this topic on the podcast.
Sure.
There is a particular person. Her name is Primrose. She is a dancer, and unfortunately in her kind of intro story arc, they get into some topics that are a little uneasy. They infer things that I wasn't particularly appreciative of.
Okay.
And they use words that make me surprised that this is rated T for teen and not M for mature.
Uh-huh.
If people really want to know, they can go look it up on their own. But basically, At one point, I was kind of getting frustrated with kind of this gross conversations that I had to sit through. And the only thing that kind of redeems itself, and this isn't really a spoiler, is that Primrose deals with this gross situation by defeating it.
Uh-huh.
Which is kind of like cool, empowering, I guess. But I didn't like where the story went. Yeah. But after that, she's kind of off on her own, doing her own thing. Like, she wants to find, and this I don't mind talking about. She was like, I wouldn't say princess, but like daughter of a duke or something, you know?
Sure.
And her father was assassinated by these like hooded figures who had like raven tattoos. And so she's kind of out on a quest to find these guys and figure out like why they did this and kill them and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
is there anything else you'd like to say about this game, Cody?
I would say it is, besides that one story arc, which, to be fair, you can skip through the cutscenes. So if the idea of what I'm trying to be as vague as possible, but if you don't like what usually happens to fantasy dancers, I suggest you skip the dialogue and just kind of do the objectives and move on. Okay. But otherwise, besides that, I really love the game. I think everything else has been a delight.
Sure.
I love the other stories. The other stories are fun. Uh-huh. And I really enjoy the combat. The combat is one of the highlights. Cool. So, yeah, that's my personal take on Octopath Traveler.
Well, what about how it looks like?
Oh, It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
It's this really it's like 2D pixel art, but it's done in a 3D setting. It's kind of reminiscent of an old game that I never played, but I watched, like 3D Dot Heroes, where these really high def 2D pixel art, but it's done in the Unreal Engine, so like water looks amazing and sand looks really cool. Like all the different environmental effects, the world looks 3D and alive, but still also pixely. Like it's really cool. Like I love the aesthetic going on in this game.
Can I see what it looks like, Cody?
Oh yeah. Hold on, let me send you a picture real quick.
Okay. Click.
Yeah, there it is.
Whoa! Oh man, it looks so cool. Guys, you gotta go check out what it looks like.
Yes. It is a Switch. It is a Switch exclusive, but I definitely recommend checking it out, watching people play it. It is a hoot.
Let's figure out how to portmanteau that.
Right?
Switch exclusive.
Yes, it is a Switch exclusive. So,
middle section, it's time for that. Middle section. And there we go, it's time to do the middle section. Hey guys, welcome to the middle section!
Hey, welcome, you made it.
Hey, welcome to one of our least focused episodes yet.
Yeah.
It's fun. So anyway,
it's super fun.
Hey, do you guys like us enough to want to talk to us? Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh. I'm blushing a little bit.
Ooh. I'm so embarrassed.
Ask us questions. if you want to ask us questions about how about
things that we talk about on the podcast.
So let's say you're like, man, I really want to know about a thing on podcast.
Right.
Yeah, and so you're like, how am I podcast?
How am I podcast? That is a good question.
That is a good question. So you're like, so anyway, how am I podcast? And so what you do is you just send it to us, and we am podcast for you.
Yeah. And you can do that at fanroulettepodcast@gmail.com or www.fandomroulette.com. At the bottom, there's a little area, nice little area just for you, where you can put in your podcast, and then we regurgitate it with some fun, goofy commentary into podcast.
Yep. So,
and if you want to talk to us on a more, would you say viral level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just germ us up.
Germ us up at fandomr_podcast. That's our Twitter handle. And we have some fun things coming in the future, like out of context D&D quotes that'll if
we ever play ever again.
Well, we could start doing it in other, like, we don't have to be together in order to do it.
Sure, fine.
Right. I mean, I would love that. I want to play that game. But we also, if we ever have schedule conflicts or the show isn't going to come up the Thursday night, Friday morning that it usually does, we'll also post it there.
Sometimes our schedules get in the way.
Yes, we do this on the side, so sometimes we got to put it out on Monday or just a random day.
Sure. And,
yeah.
And
we're on the iTunes and the SoundCloud.
Yeah, on iTunes and SoundCloud,
and wherever you get your podcast from. So
like us and
share us with your friends. Most of our numbers and things, people reaching out and the questions that we get, that's all from fans from sharing our podcast.
Just like you.
Yeah.
And write a good review. Hey guys, everyone lean real close. Guys, we need you to lie about the podcast. We need you to be like, they're always so on point and on focus. It's guys, you guys.
Yeah, otherwise the podcast police will come after us, and then we're gonna have to shut this all down.
I'm like, here's the thing. Every time we're recording, I'm always at the edge of my seat. Like when they come, like
I'm always looking over my shoulder for when I just hear the knock on the door.
I think Larry's gonna snitch on us.
I will cut Larry if I need to.
Why do you think?
I will cut him.
Hey Joe, what you talking about? Well, Larry, you found that thing, that vague thing I asked you. Yeah, you asked for okay, so anyway, middle section. Middle section is over now.
That's good.
Oh man.
Well, you know what's always really good about the end of the middle section
is that I always establish a bit and then drop it immediately.
That and do you smell that? That's terrible.
Cody, how dare you bring that up? I lost my sense of smell at a young age.
Oh man, that is a garbage kid, my friend. I opened up the bag and it is bad.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Woo. Guys, for those of you who don't know what we're doing, we make fun characters for your role-playing games.
Sure. Doesn't
just have to be Dungeons and Dragons. It can be whatever.
Yeah.
We make these characters using a fun book.
Yes.
Called Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Everything, Cody?
Everything.
Yeah. That bit's never gonna die.
No.
I'm gonna go on the record.
Actually, we did skip it 1 week.
Did we really?
Yeah, it was the last last week.
No, I did it.
Oh, that's right. You did it for us.
I did it for myself.
So I created.
No, real quick. So
what?
Here's two promises.
Promises.
That bit's never gonna die.
Nope.
I will always rep Solo: a Star Wars story so hard, you have no idea.
That is the hill you wish to die on.
That's the hill I'm gonna die on. All right. So, anyways, tell me about this garbage kid.
So, this week we've got Jasmine Jericho.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
The Halfling Wizard.
Oh, wow. We've never had a wizard on here at the show before.
We haven't?
I don't think so.
Anyways, I'm going to call them Jericho.
Okay.
Because I didn't proofread my writing.
What?
Jericho knew who their parents were and was born at home.
Okay.
Jericho has no siblings and lived with a single mother because their father abandoned the family.
Isn't that just the worst?
Yeah. Jericho and their mother lived a poor lifestyle in a large house.
Okay. Nice. Good job, Jericho.
Right. Jericho had a few close friends and lived an ordinary childhood.
I'm proud of you, Jericho.
Yeah. Jericho became a wizard because they had a relative who is also an accomplished wizard who decided Jericho was smart enough to learn the craft.
Okay, interesting.
Their spellbook is a battered tome filled with pictographs that only they can understand.
Interesting.
And this one I will leave up to those who want to use it. Jericho strives to be the greatest wizard the world has seen in generations.
All right. You do that.
One little tick.
Okay.
Jericho will never enter a room without looking to see what's hanging from the ceiling.
I mean, I get it. It could be a million spiders, Cody.
There could be a million spiders on the ceiling. You wouldn't know until you looked
to
up.
Last week's episode.
Yeah.
So check it out if you want to understand why that joke was a thing that I made.
Last, but certainly not least, Jericho is 22 years old and has had 2 life events leading up to this very moment.
Okay.
They would spend a time working as an apprentice to earn some money, and then later, they would go on an adventure and nearly die from the experience.
Whoa.
Jericho has nasty scars and is missing their ear.
Ew.
Yeah, that is
Jericho?
Jasmine Jericho.
Right. Thank you, Jericho.
Now let me throw out the trash.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I did it.
So anyways, Cody, a question about RPGs?
Yeah,
oh, wait,
so...
Cody. Wait,
right.
Can I interrupt for just a second?
Absolutely, do it.
Remember how I mentioned that my sister played Starfinder with us?
Yeah.
She like literally just messaged me that she just bought a like 5 sets of dice to continue playing.
Nice.
Like, yeah.
Very cool. Welcome to our side.
Yeah. So anyway,
yes. Welcome to the fandom.
Do you have any questions for us about the Dungeons and the Dragons?
I do.
Okay.
So when we're not explaining how we feel about certain topics in the role-playing game universe,
sure, we
also like to ask, or we answer questions that are asked by the viewers.
We also ask questions of
We also ask questions sometimes, but...
of one another.
Oh.
Of the world that we live in.
Oh.
This is a smart podcast for smart people.
Yeah. Right. Welcome, all the smart people.
We lure them in with the history,
and then we nab them with the dumb shit.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, this week, who knows? Anyways,
yeah. So one of our listeners, famous listener John, thank you, John.
Basically, just the most famous guy at this point.
Yes. Besides us. He is the most famous.
I like to think of him as the unofficial third member of this podcast.
Yes. The unofficial member asks us, what would you do in a level 1 adventure? Say a one-shot or something.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So like for weekly level 1 characters?
Yeah, for level 1 people.
Interesting.
And I had a couple of ideas, but I wanted to ask you a question based on that.
Okay, let's do it.
Because you're the player. See, I do a lot of DMing. I don't have a whole lot of stake in the player side of it.
Let me flex my muscles.
Yeah. What? When you're level 1,
sure.
Like you just wrote down the last note on your character sheet.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Like what does a level 1 player want to do?
Oh man, that's an interesting question, Cody. I'll
do what I can.
Yeah. Okay. So like usually at level 1, so I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast. I used to have this really like nasty tendency of like writing character backstories that were like, my character was the best character at fighting and adventure. And now I'm going to walk into a dungeon and I'm going to deal 1d6 damage. And it's like, well, that doesn't add up because like he was like the most powerful, I thought you said he was like the most powerful fighter in the world. And you're like, oh shit, that's right. I did say that in my backstory. So a couple of things that I like about level 1 characters, and then, because I mean, let's be real, this is almost always like your first session or two, is I like figuring out party dynamics.
Okay.
And I like testing out like just weird aspects of my character.
Sure.
So, or like seeing how other people test out aspects of their character. So like, I guess most famously, when we were doing our level 1 adventure with the 6, Joel discovered that his character had a bag of ball bearings.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Remember? Right? Like, we were doing really bad, and so he threw a bag of ball bearings, and it didn't do anything, but, like, he just kind of became obsessed with, like, making ball bearings work.
Yeah.
To, like, a point of, like, humor, in my opinion.
Yep.
But...
it's been funny, though. I'll give him that.
It's like, I guess it's just a matter of... You want to feel... you also want to, like, feel at least a little bit powerful, but that's just me.
Oh, that makes sense. I feel that vibe.
Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, like, okay. And I feel like this is an impulse that happens a lot with level 1, session 0, or session 1 like one-shot arcs, which is you will fight what is eventually going to be the you get into an encounter that might be a little bit over your head to just remind you that there's a bigger, scarier world out there. So it kind of informs the fact that you have to do the grinds to get powerful so you can ultimately face this entity, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
So anyway, those are a couple of things that I always think about with level ones.
Right.
Oh, and then also just like a reason for your party to be together.
Yeah, that is key. That could be on the DM's part or the player's part.
Sure, and then
oftentimes I will ask people to like in my games, like, hey, this is your game. Use it how you need it, but there's some ground rules. Like you need to, there's got to be a reason that you're all together.
Sure.
I don't want to make it for you because I don't want it to feel forced. So often I leave that to the players. That can feel empowering in some aspects. Like like when I did it with the 6, like you and Joel immediately went to like being like brothers, not brothers, then finding out you're actually are brothers.
Yeah, it was like
dynamic.
A long-term friendship that had become almost familial.
Right.
Well, and so I think one of the things that was kind of cool about the 6 was that it started off as like feeling seemingly random, but you had established the kind of like wise bartender trope who like has an eye for these things, quote unquote, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite bit.
And
personally.
so like there's like a level of destiny, I suppose, to it.
Yeah.
One that I've encountered before that I thought was a really fun like level 1 session 0 thing was our characters were thrown into a gladiatorial arena.
Okay, that's cool.
We didn't know one another, but we knew we had to escape.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a prison break situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like that one worked out really well, and then it involved like us like kind of running through the sewers and then fighting like a thing that was like just OP enough to make it challenging.
Sure.
And so like then it's kind of this realization of, oh man, we all actually work really well together. Maybe we should keep this thing going a little bit. Another one shot or like level 1 mission was we were all on a pirate ship going across the sea because there was a notorious thief that had stolen a number of items from our homeland, and we were tasked to capture him to get the items back. And we all had our own like individual motivations, but we were all searching for like the same person.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
It was like, I guess we got to work together, and then obviously like so many things like that was just like the first domino push in like a bigger, broader adventure, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to be building a level 1 adventure, I would pretty quickly make sure that all the party members were together. I think you would be inclined to agree with that.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Cody, why are these characters together? I have an idea. Do you have an idea?
Oh God, we're gonna just build one right here, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. I think it's this one.
So, the first thing is, why are the people who are playing here, and why do they need to go adventuring and risking their lives? So,
well, how about this, Cody? Why don't we kind of build our own ones in tandem, and we'll kind of like set up. Let's see if this makes sense. Like we'll establish aspects of it, and then we'll come up with our own examples of it.
Sure. Okay.
So
go on.
Why is your group of players together?
They have to fight an imposable force because everyone is either too weak or not able.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. What about you? Why are your players here?
They are individuals who were hired to protect a caravan that is going from a little podunk city to the capital city.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is the threat?
Okay. So in my case, they're traveling along a stretch of road that is notorious for having thieves in this area and bandits, and the thing they're carrying is payment for the Imperial Army, and if this payment doesn't get to the capital soon, then there's going to be a riot in the capital city.
Damn.
What about your threat?
My threat is a necromancer has reaped an army of skeletons.
Nice.
That want to attack the city because the necromancer has commanded it so.
Cool. Very nice. So, I guess the next thing that I would personally throw at them is a decent style encounter, just to give them a feel for combat, and then a feel for their individual character skills. So, does that sound good to you? All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, in my case, we are going to have a band of 5 bandits and a bandit captain who's like level 3.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, and for those of you who are looking at this and like, wow, these are really cool, there's a tool that I like to use to balance combat. It works great for low-level stuff, but tends to get a little wonky as higher levels. It's called Kobold Fight Club.
Nice.
If you type that in on Google, you will find it immediately. It is a calculator of sorts. You put in the amount of players and what levels you have, and then you type out the enemy, and then when you fill in the little monster area with monsters, it'll tell you how difficult that should be based on experience game in the system. Uh-huh. So, I don't have an exact number.
Sure.
Because I don't know my players and stuff. So random, we'll just say that 6 skeletons come as the first wave of combatants, and they have to fight them off.
Cool. All right. So let's just say that your party beats them.
Yeah.
What do you think should happen next? What do you think the next bit of a good early level adventure would be?
I think a good level one, like a good one shot or a good starting adventure needs something that is a challenge, but isn't necessarily combat.
Got it.
Something that may expend spells or resources, but isn't necessarily fighting more skeletons.
Yep. So what would your example of this be?
Mine would be the adventurers go forth to find the necromancer, and they find his lair, but his lair is locked behind a puzzle. Maybe it's of, weighted cubes, and they have to, put them in certain patterns. Or maybe it's maybe there's a magic door, and only a certain spell type will let you through.
Okay, cool.
What is your non-combat combat?
So we are traveling through a heavily wooded area, and recently there have been massive storms that have felled several great trees. They either have to figure out how to get around or cut through to get the caravan, because that caravan is not going to be able to climb them.
Nice. Very cool. I like it. Right. I think that... And this doesn't necessarily need to go in this particular order.
Sure.
But I do think there needs to be time, especially for either new players or players who like a little bit of variety, should be able to either talk to one another in like a small, like, kind of social encounter.
Sure.
Whether it's with a NPC or whether it's, with the party trying to figure out what to do next. But if you had to add a social aspect, and it can be wherever you want it to be, it doesn't have to be right after the trees, what would you do?
I would either start off with them, meeting up with the caravan, or I know it's kind of classic and cliche, but meeting up at a pub, or I might have a campfire sequence about halfway through their travels. So
cool.
Yep. And you?
I think mine would probably take place before they left to go after the necromancer. Maybe maybe the town. Yeah, town mayor or town leader goes up to them and asks them, like, could you brave heroes go out and stop the necromancer or whatever.
Sure.
Or maybe before the attacks even take place, maybe there's like I said, maybe there's a festival, or maybe the bar is just really rowdy and then people can like kind of go and do some stuff. I always like to include like little things, like just small little bits. Like even if it's just like people are playing cards, or people are playing, the 5-finger fillet.
Yeah.
Where you gotta stab the knife in between your hands. Like some just little things to enhance those kind of social moments before things kind of turn into, combat or stuff. So those are my thoughts. And I think you sprinkle that in with either some more combat or maybe some more non-combat encounters where they have to do things. And I think, at least for a good level 1 adventure or a level 1 shot, the finale, the boss fight.
I was about to say. And so, in this case, too, it could be a potential hook for continuing to play these characters.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So what would your finale / potential continuation be?
Okay. So, you guys are walking along, or the crew is walking along. They kind of see the city off in a distance, but it's still far enough away that like their own guards or armies won't be able to help you. And then you get ambushed by a person riding on the back of a manticore.
Oh, damn.
Who establishes themselves as the leader of a band of, depending on who you are talking to, terrorists or freedom fighters. And he kind of gives you this option of, do you want to come with me and start to help liberate like the tyranny, or you are given a choice to fight him. And so if you fight him, it's a pretty difficult encounter. And if you choose to follow him, then you end up fighting a pretty decent sized band of like the king's troops.
Okay, that's cool.
And in your case?
I think the finale, while it might be kind of cliche in my case, is I think you fight the necromancer, but I always like to add a twist / a moral choice.
Sure.
And I think in this case, the twist would be that the necromancer you're fighting isn't actually the necromancer, but merely one of his pawns.
Sure.
And then I think the twist or the moral dilemma is that he's got somebody from the village hostage when you show up, and you've got to figure out how to deal with taking him on, knowing that he could potentially hurt this person from the village.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so I think that's a good structure. One thing to note in a one shot or a level 1 adventure, a typical adventuring day, they've balanced the game around 5 to 6 encounters. However, not all encounters equal combat.
Yes.
So if you're trying to build your own one shot or your own little level 1 adventure, if they're going to be out during the day, give them, maybe it's 3 battles and then 2 puzzles or dilemmas that they have to, figure out or get past.
You know what? I'm going to throw some out there, Cody.
Yeah.
That was not as daunting or as scary as I thought it was going to be.
And I think that's the thing about being a dungeon master. I think one of the stigmas is that it is like intense and crazy, and there's all this prep work, but mostly it's just getting those creative juices flowing and knowing the rules well enough to make sure that it's not. Yeah, you gotta play in the space and enjoy and make sure that it's not so overbearing, unless that's the kind of game you want to play, I guess.
Sure. Well, that was a lot of fun. Hopefully you can use those ideas. But so to recap, in this is something we both kind of agreed upon. So pretty straightforward combat.
Pretty straightforward. Something to get everyone learning about combat and how it works.
Sure. 1 to 2 non-combat encounters.
Yeah, something to challenge the party to also be able to think outside of combat mechanics, like, using your spells or using your abilities, in ways that aren't necessarily combat focused.
And a chance for your characters to meet and talk with one another. To build
Yeah, a social event, whether it's just between the party or whether or not it's between some, NPCs that you've created to move the story forward, etc., etc.
And a finale that includes a big, slightly OP boss fight with a potential twist and or hook for continuing adventures if your party seems down.
Yeah, I think it's good to note that it's all right to keep it simple and clean, right? Like something sure. Very like contained.
Yeah. And here's the thing: when you walk away, you will hopefully hear them say, "Wow, that was a great one-shot and or level 1 adventure."
Yeah.
So, anyways, any final thoughts, or should we wrap her up?
Final thoughts. I think just remember that the adventuring day is 5 to 6 kind of like encounters. So if your adventure or your hook is supposed to be in a day, keep that in mind.
Okay, and then my final thoughts would be make them feel powerful, but at the same time, remind them that there is a long road ahead.
The world is big and dangerous.
So, shall we wrap her up?
Hell yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Fandom Roulette. Please go back to the middle section to find out different ways you can engage us on social media. But as always, please find us on iTunes or SoundCloud to rate, review, subscribe, and let your friends know about it. We appreciate it quite a lot.
Yes, we do.
But signing off for Fandom Roulette, this is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
And as always, stay nerdy.
Stay super nerdy.